This lesson focuses on solving number-word problems using a system of equations. The problems that you are going to see here are going to be problems that we have all done in the past. We've done these problems using a single variable. Now, because we have knowledge of systems of equations, we can set up a let statement involving two variables, and if we have two variables, we're going to need to set up two equations. So let me draw on something that you already know. For those of you who are taking notes on my note pages, this is the only model problem you have for number word problems. I'm going to do this first using a single variable. Please don't copy that down. I want you to copy the system of equations, the new learning, down. So let's take a look at this. The sum of two numbers is 120. If 4 times the smaller number exceeds the larger by 10, find both numbers. Okay, in the past, what I had you do is I had you look at one sentence, typically the first sentence. And this would become our let statement. Your second equation, or your second sentence, that would be your equation. And in most cases, you can switch these up very easily, but it can be a little challenging depending on the problem. For those of you who remember the sum of two numbers is, might remember that when we did our let statement, we would let x equal the first number, and we would let the second one be 120 minus x. If you recall, the sum of the two numbers has to be 120. If you add x plus 120 minus x, and you add these two together, you will notice that these cancel and they total 120. That was hard for a lot of you when we did it, so a system might be a better option for you. In any case, our next sentence says if 4 times the smaller exceeds the larger by 10, find both numbers. What we would do is we'd have to refer to these as larger or smaller. So I don't care. It makes no difference to me. I could call this one larger. I can call this one smaller. It doesn't matter. Continuing on, what I would do is I would write right above the words. So 4 times the smaller, I'd do 4 times. Now my smaller number is actually the number 120 minus x. Exceeds, if you remember, exceeds, we're going to put a minus sign. The larger, so larger number happens to be x, and over the word by, we'd put an equal sign, 10. So your equation would be 4 parentheses 120 minus x minus the larger equals 10. And we would solve this equation and get our answer. That would be very difficult for some if you don't remember the sum of two numbers trick. The other thing that I want to draw your attention to is the exceeds trick. Now I'm just going to jump ahead real quick and I want to talk to you about the exceeds trick. If you remember, when we write right above the words, over the word exceeds, we always put a minus sign. Over the word by, we always put an equal sign. For example, Mrs. Zagrosi's age exceeds Dylan's age by 30 years. So what that means is I'm older, my age is bigger by 30 years. So one of the things that I could do is I could say Z for Zagrosi. With exceeds, I'm going to use minus. Dylan, we'll use a D. By is equals 30. So basically what that means is I'm taking the larger minus the smaller equals the difference. So anytime you see exceeds, you can use this trick. When translating the word exceeds, you're going to use minus. When you're translating the word by, you're going to use equals. Now, just so that you know, you don't always have to set it up this way. If you know that Mrs. Zagrosi's age is bigger than Dylan's by 30 years, you could have also, said Zagrosi, take away 30 equals Dylan's age. You could have said Dylan, since he's the younger one, if you add 30 years to his age, then you'll get my age. So there's a variety of ways that you can set this up. But if you're someone who likes to have a set system, then over the word exceeds, put your minus. Over the word by, put equals. What it's basically saying is bigger minus smaller equals difference. Bigger minus smaller equals difference. Okay, let's go back to this problem. Those of you who are taking notes on your note page, you're going to want to start writing this. The sum of two numbers is 120. If 4 times the smaller exceeds the larger by 10, find both numbers. I'm looking for two numbers. We're going to use any variables that you want. I'm going to use x and y. So when you're doing it this way, what you're going to do is you're going to read the whole problem and say, okay, what is it that I don't know? Those two things are going to be your variables. Now, in this problem, they refer to them as larger and smaller. So I think I'm going to do the same thing. Larger and smaller number. Okay, previously what we would do is we would let one sentence be our let statement and we would let the other sentence be our equation. Now each sentence is going to be an equation. So this first sentence, the sum of two numbers is 120. That's going to be an equation. And that's an easy one to set up. X plus y equals 120. Your second equation is going to come from your second sentence. So I'm going to do that in a different color here. And I'm going to do exactly what I did before. I'm going to use my trick and I'm going to write right above the words. So 4 times the smaller, my smaller number is y, exceeds, okay, let's use that exceeds trick. Over the word exceeds, we're going to put minus. And if you look around, find the word by, that's going to be your equals. Okay? So 4 times the smaller exceeds, there's your minus, the larger, my larger is x, by 10. So your second equation is 4y minus x equals 10. Now we just have to decide how we want to solve that. I think for me, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reorganize this. So I'm going to switch this and make this y plus x equals 120. And I'm going to leave this as 4y minus x equals 10. And I'm going to use my addition method. So when I do that, these two cancel. And I have 5y is equal to 130. Therefore, y is equal to, let's see, 5 goes into 13 twice with 3 left over. So 5 goes into 30 6 times. So it looks like the smaller number is 26. Let's keep going. I need to get my larger number. I think what I'm going to do is x plus y equals 120. And I'm going to bring this 26 over. I'm going to put it right in here. So x plus 26 is equal to 120. Let's minus the 26 from both sides. And it looks like x is equal to 94. And if you remember, we could just box this part of our let statement and it answers the question very nicely. So if you want to do a quick check, your check can be as easy as this. The sum of two numbers is 120. So 94 plus 26, that's 10, carry the 1, that's 120. So it works with the first sentence. Now 4 times the smaller. Okay, so I got to do 26 times 4. Exceeds the larger by 10. Oh, well, this is definitely bigger than 94 by 10, right? 94 plus 10, that gives you 104. So we're good. This checks out nicely. Okay, I want to practice setting some more up. We don't necessarily need to solve them because you guys have already shown me that you're pretty good solvers. The part that's going to be difficult for you is setting them up. So let's just practice setting a bunch up. If you want, feel free to take a piece of paper, pause the video, set it up, and then start the video up again and see if you got it correct. Or just sit back and watch and listen. So in this next one, we've got the sum of two numbers is 10. 3 times the larger decreased by twice the smaller is 15. Find the numbers. Okay, so we're talking about two numbers, and we're looking for both of them, and I see words like larger and smaller. So let's let x equal the larger, and we can let y equal the smaller. And what we're going to do is we're going to go sentence by sentence. So let's take a look at the first sentence. The sum of two numbers is 10. That should be an easy one. X plus y equals 10. The next one, let's write right above the words. 3 times the larger, that would be x, decreased by, there's your minus, twice the smaller, my smaller is y, is in math means equals 15. So your second equation is 3x minus 2 times y equals 15. Okay, and addition method or substitution method, they both would be pretty easy on this one. Let's try another one. The larger of two numbers is 1 less than 3 times the smaller. If 3 times the larger is 5 more than 8 times the smaller, find the numbers. Okay, so just from reading this once, I know that we're talking about two numbers and they're larger and smaller. So let's set up our let statement. Let x equal larger, and let y equal smaller number. Okay, let's go word for word. The larger of two numbers, okay, well I called that x, is in math means equals. 1 less than. Now if you remember less than, means you're taking one away from something. It's 1 less than something. So we're going to be minusing 1 from something. So we're minusing 1 from 3 times the smaller. So here we go. It's going to be x equals. Now instead of doing -1 plus 3y, I think I'm going to just say 3y take away the 1. Right? It's 1 less than 3 times the smaller. 1 less than 3 times the smaller. Okay, our next equation. If 3 times the larger, my larger number is x, is, there's your equals, 5 more than. That means we're going to be adding 5 to something. We're adding 5 to something. So 5 more than 8 times the smaller. My smaller number was y. So that equation would be 3x equals 8 times y plus 5. So 8y plus 5. And there you go. I'd probably use the substitution method for this. I'd probably take that and put it right in place of that x. All right, let's try another one. The sum of two numbers is 77. The larger number is 3 more than the smaller number. Find the numbers. Okay, again, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing larger, smaller. So let's set up our let statement. Let x equal larger, and let y equal smaller number. First sentence, the sum of two numbers is 77. The sum of two numbers is 77. So x plus y equals 77. The second equation, are you ready? Here we go. It says the larger number. The larger number, well that's my x, is, there's equals, 3 more than So there's 3. More than means I'm adding 3 to something. So 3 more than means I'm adding 3 to something. Well, it's 3 more than the smaller number. So the smaller number is y. So this would be x is equal to y plus 3. It's 3 more than the smaller number. Let's try another one. Okay, here we go. We've got exceeds in here. The difference between two numbers is 34. The larger exceeds 3 times the smaller by 4. Find the numbers. Okay, let's set up our let statement. Let x equal larger. Let y equal smaller. So the difference between the numbers is 34. Now I want you to think for a minute. When we take the difference, we're subtracting. Typically when we subtract, we do larger minus smaller. So it's x minus y equals 34. Here comes my next equation. The larger, there's x, exceeds, you got to remember that trick. Over exceeds, you put minus. Over by, you're going to put equals. Okay? So the larger exceeds, there's your minus, 3 times the smaller by 4. So it's x minus 3y equals 4. Okay, let's try one more. Let's see, I think I have another one in here that has exceeds. Let's do another exceeds trick. The larger of two numbers is 4 less than twice the smaller. Find both numbers if 4 times the larger exceeds 5 times the smaller by 8. Okay, so once again, we're talking larger, smaller. Let x equal larger number, and let y equal smaller number. Okay, so the larger of two numbers is 4 less than twice the smaller. So the larger, that is x, of two numbers. So the larger of two numbers is, there's equals, 4 less than. 4 less than means we're going to be minusing 4 from something. 4 less than twice the smaller. So that's going to be x equals 2y minus 4. That one was a little tricky. Find both numbers if 4 times the larger, so 4 times the larger, exceeds, here we go. There's your minus, and it should have the word by. There's your equal sign. So 4 times the larger exceeds 5 times the smaller, which is y, by 8. So your second equation, 4x minus 5y equals 8. Okay. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit more confident. I want you to do a little bit more practice. I would like you to do page 413. I want you to do 1 through 5. Okay, spend no more than 30 minutes. And email me if you need any help. I'm here to do that for you. Take care. Good luck.